exploring the esoteric, journeying through the imaginal, expanding consciousness. I'm Lewis, and this is Numinosophy Academy. Welcome back to my book writing project, my book entitled Principles of Numinosophy. This will be a reading of the first chapter, so if you haven't heard the introduction yet, then do go back and start there. I'll link it in the description below. As always, if you are interested in this project, then do like and subscribe to follow along. Some thoughts before I continue. I wasn't that happy with the sound quality in the previous video, but I've had a play and I think what I have now is a big improvement. What else? This series is obviously somewhat niche, a somewhat niche interest, shall we say. So your support and interest in this project is all the more appreciated. You can show that by commenting below. Let me know what you make of this project so far as it stands. And also, if you are aware of anyone else that you can think of that might find this stuff of interest and you could share it with them on social media or wherever, that would also be helpful. It'd be appreciated. Okay, I think that's enough preamble. Chapter 1 to Principles of Numinosophy. Breath. After my time in Hazelwood, I was increasingly drawn into nature's majesty, into her fantastic depths. I was so intoxicated that not even in those busy office hours did I escape her. Even as pressure mounted and emails piled in demanding reports, ever intensifying that expectation that more would and could be squeezed into each scheduled hour, she was still there. I felt her in those brief, punctuated moments of inactivity, moments in which her presence overshadowed me. Circumstance may have exiled me from living nature, but truly only in part, for she visits me often. Her envoys claim me as their own. I would look across the room of grim faces, each of them engrossed in their own metallic devices, and I would be remote, in tune with some elemental domain of hers. Instead of that sterility and the hum of mechanical fans, I would be in the divine wilds, breathless amidst the rugged winds and shadows blue. Once I found myself quite suddenly in a narrow creek enclosed by trees, a place that invited mystery. I felt the rippling waters moving across a pebbled bed, and in the distance I could hear medieval bells being rung in Pentecostal peal, in lyrical accord with earth's ageless breath. Numa, rising through blossom bright towards the glowing heavens, where larks held court. An orchestral sound, the whispering breath, a chiming tower, water's murmur, and the birds babbling away. And then, as if by fire from above, a glassy apparition, manifesting as a kindly stranger, one of sturdy appearance, carrying a staff and wearing about him a traveller's cloak. He smiled at me with his eyes, and I knew at that moment that he was a god. And then I would lapse out of vision and joy and hear the weary voices once more, the voices of the feverish faces of well-meaning people, trapped in the obscure plywood hell, each of them racing after nothing. But even amongst them, I could tell there were glimpses had. Once, one of the old accountants, who never seemed anything to me other than a man devoted to his humdrum craft, told me a story. He awoke one night and found himself in his garden amongst his geraniums. There he swayed to and fro before the moon, at which point great images came down and flooded his conscious mind. It had seemed to him some unearthly wisdom. What must it be to be so petty in one sphere and yet so high in another? Others, too, I'm sure, had moments of awe in which the unknown had laid claim upon them. But none were both so happy and as frustrated as I. Happy because, despite my youthful oblivion, in adulthood I had stumbled into the divine world, and know it not as some dream, but most vividly. For her envoys, the invisible ones, came to me. They know as I do, have seen as I have seen, have heard as I have heard, but have also ventured much further than I have dared. Undoubtedly, amongst my work colleagues, I am the most miserable and frustrated. For in contrast with these intense visions, our everyday concerns, deadlines, and the never-ending performance feels intensely facile. How could it not? An unbearable banality. I let my fears get away from me. I feared that the path out from this strobe-lit cavern had been lost, that no one knew the way, that somehow I'd been buried under concrete, swept aside and forgotten with everyone else here in this unknown place. I had been condemned by my forefathers, who had set us all on this road to destruction, towards an infinite estrangement, nature's lost children. Everything which suggested to me the true spirit of my cosmic being, the shaft of light that moved across my desk, the sunny clouds discernible through the blinds, even the potted rubber tree plant in the corner, all intensified this agony that I felt. Each brought pangs of despair. For I would remember the woods, the mountains, those regions of vastness where her winds blow free, and I'd be left with nothing more than my feeble plots to escape. But that brought little comfort. Make me a Miltonian angel in rebellion. Let me rise up and claim my anarchic freedom. Let me know my own titanic power. But alas, I am but a speck raging against the typhoon.